Well, I'm so excited to be right here with Pastor Brett Jones from Houston, Texas.
That's us.
Houston, Texas, Grace Church.
Yeah, buddy.
You and your brother, Scott Jones, little brother.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I love what we do with Unscripted. I get with some of the leaders that I highly respect, and you're one of those. You're somebody I learned from. I get to talk to a lot of different people like you do. And a lot of times in our season of life, you know, we're mentoring, we're sharing, but you're someone I learned from. You're someone that has coached me, that has been a blessing to my life. You've spoken into my life.
Wow, thank you.
You have helped me with sermon prep. I've called you when I'm navigating a problem.
I love it.
You've helped me understand, have some wisdom, family, marriage.
I've never sounded so good as whenever I hear me through you and I go, oh, I didn't even say that. That was good.
That's right. I preached a few sermons with some of your love on it, but
awesome. I
really appreciate you. You've been a blessing to me.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me come do this and to be a part of all the stuff that we've been a part of for years at a distance. Scott's been much more here in the middle of it all, but to get to come in and hang out with a brother, and I look at you and Scott as brothers. So I love that way, Dino.
We feel that way, and I love talking to all these different leaders through Unscripted, and being season 4, we've had some good chats. But this is unique because of the unique season that you're in. I think there's a lot to learn from what you're learning, what you've written about, what you've navigated, and we have done a lot. We've done church planted, we've done conferences. Highlands College, Church of the Highlands, Grace Church, back in the day, Healing Place. We were friends. We've been friends for over 20 years. And known of you and Scott, your brother. And y'all have done something unique. Tell me a little bit about your dad, who started the church, and then there was a transition to you and your brother there at Grace Church in Houston.
Dad pretty well brought the church in when I was 5, 6 years old. And I think he had 21 people that he kicked it off with. And
strong church plant.
Strong church. And then through the years, I mean, I was always a church boy. I always wanted church. Felt like I was going to, serve the Lord in whatever I did, whatever we did. Started traveling early, left home early, and started traveling. Scott and I are 6 years apart.
6 years, okay. That makes sense.
About the time I'm leaving, he's ruling the roost at home. Always close, tight family. I traveled, got married, traveled 7 years or so. And then Dad came to me when I was 25, and he said, "What do you think about coming back and serving here with me? And let's just see what the Lord's going to do."
Yeah.
And we didn't have the grand plans or the grand names and things of what it would do and be. He was only 52. So when I look back at that, I mean, he's very, very young.
Yes, he was.
But he was saying, I want to go ahead and start this process of what it will be. And that began without even saying, today we begin. But that began something that we still do to this day. And it has served me very well, and then my brother very well afterwards. So I came back. I was here, Giselle and I, and our 3 kids were here 10 years with Dad. Let's see, yes.
Doing everything.
Doing it all. I was here 6 or 7 years, and Dad stepped out and said, all right, I'm going to become a bishop. I'll just oversee churches. I'm going to see people. So I was the only pastor there for several years. And then my brother, Scott is accidentally better organized than I am on purpose.
Wow.
He's just
a good compliment.
He's a planner. I mean, we've laughed. I know when to fertilize my yard. It gets yellow. We might need some fertilizer out here. He has it down on 3 calendars, knowing when and what much and how and all that. But that's the nature of him being that fastidious in what he does. So my deal, whenever he became available, I mean, he wasn't sure he wanted to come. And I said, look, don't come do what I do. I'm not overworked. I'm underplanned. Yeah. Come do what you do. And together, let's see if we can do something that no one, that we don't see a model for. We don't see a pattern. And so when we first talked to people, most people were, anything with 2 heads is a freak. And that's a really good statement. It's not really a reason to do or not to do something.
Right.
He wanted to know what are our positions and roles. I tell you what, though, from the get-go, we brought it down to this whole succession thing. We brought it down to, and it just took a little while to get it figured out. Question one, and if you can't answer for question one, there's no other question. Do your wives get along?
Wow.
Not get along. Do they genuinely like each other?
Yeah.
Are they calling to see if the other one wants to run when this one's going somewhere? And if they both are gifted the exact same way, that may not be. But if they are gifted in a Mary, Martha, or they're gifted where this is strong here and this one, and they understand that they are part of the team, that sometimes your uniform, you can just go hang it up after the game and you didn't have to even get dirty. And then sometimes it's going to be shredded and the other one not.
Yeah.
And if you can get that and you learn that from the beginning, then all the rest of it can come together. Yeah. And that's what happened.
It's interesting is that, really you guys have set a good model. You've scaled the best model possible. I mean, it's been led by the Holy Spirit and it's been tested. Mm-hmm. It's been live engined. Yep. It's not like it's on the showroom floor and it's never been taken out on the road.
No, and you got to maintain it. It's like I've said before. It's like standing up in a canoe. You better move your feet slow because even if you're sure,
that's unscripted right there.
Yeah, you're sure you know what's going to happen. Hold on, because this one could be just a little different.
Yeah,
and then
so good
we're even now at the ages where all of our kids are adults, and they're doing ministry, and now it gets to the next levels and so it has its purpose, it has a reason, it doesn't fit everybody, but for the ones it fits, it can be a strength like no other.
And what I love is you guys are always helping the dad who's leading the church who has two sons, the dad who's leading the church who has a son and a son-in-law, a son and a daughter and a daughter, and two sons-in-laws. You guys are in a lot of conversations. You're helping. You're glad to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so unique is that you and your brother have led together for how long now?
38 years.
For 38 years, still together this day, in a different season. You see what you're saying, the next generation of leaders, of sons, of spiritual sons. You've put a lot of people into the ministry, which you guys have always done that. You've always cared about the body of Christ, the kingdom of God. And so what do you tell someone when they call you and say, I got two boys, I'm trying to figure it out? What's the first thing other than the wives that you say, okay, here's a quick just a little checklist when you're talking about a succession plan or you have others that want to, you're going to do it together.
Everyone can't be charging for the same seat. Wow. You have to be fully aware. The part that I play is smaller than this overall vision of what we do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play a part right now. This is mine. This is my turn now, and you have to be willing to work your head off, develop something, and someone else says it, and you got to be okay with it. So it doesn't matter who gets the credit. We're doing the same thing here. Yeah. We have one another's back. And in this time of ego.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah. What was the ego? EGO, edging God out.
Wow.
But when you have ego, that you've got to say it. I've said before, pastors, I think I want to do this, and my sons, okay, can you let them close the service and you not take the microphone back? Because if you have to go up and actually close the service, you probably can't do this because you still need it to come back to you. You have to be okay with it.
That's a revealing statement.
It has to go away from you. An example, when Scott was leading Global Ministries.
Yep. Which is a network of churches.
Network of churches, about 600 churches, I believe. Yeah. And I was a part of it. And he's my younger brother, and our styles are different and whatever. I go with him, and we're at in Nashville at Brother Hardwick's church.
That's right.
And so we go there. We're checking in. I've checked into the hotel. I've stepped back with my bags. People are coming and going to conference. Everybody's and he's Brother Wonderful, so he's up there getting checked in, and I'm just over here. Well, there's a lot of people. So I go and I get his bags and I move them back over to mine, waiting for him to get his room number. So I'll just, oh, you're in that room. Okay, I'll see you tonight. You know, that type deal.
Yeah.
That's nothing. Just,
right.
And a young guy came over to me and he went, are you with Pastor Scott? I said, yeah, I am. Oh, God. What is it like to be with somebody that has such wisdom and he flows with this? You could just tell the
As
voice
the older
of God
brother.
on it. Yeah, and he's telling me this, and I said, "It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It absolutely is great." I mean, and he said, "What I wouldn't give." I said, "Well, you ought to call. He probably has a trip. You could go on sometime."
Yeah.
He said, "It wouldn't bother you." No, I'm good. I'm good with it. You know. And
You're going to take your place on those bags.
I didn't fix it. I left it alone.
Yeah.
The next night, I'm speaking. This guy comes up to me afterward. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I said, what are you sorry about?
Yeah.
What are you sorry about? I mean, it was a teaching moment. What are you sorry about?
It's a great teaching moment.
He said, no, I didn't know who you were. I said, if I can't carry his bags, how can I even begin to think I'm going to help him carry ministry?
Yeah.
He's leading this. Why can't my younger brother that, you know, I carried as a little kid, but why can't he lead this? He's better at this than I am. He has this down. Why not? And the fact is, usually we have to show this seniority, but we got
flex.
We got a little patch here. You know, what does 3 up, 2 down mean to you? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. God, that's so true.
When really, if we're trying to move us as a church into that next place, we're all going to face this at some point.
Yeah, we are.
We happen to be doing it now.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to face this at some point, and it needs to be faced. You know,
it is good. It is interesting when you start getting into that fourth quarter, into that another kind of stage phase where you see those who think the sun will never set on them. Like, no, it's going to always shine on me.
Right.
And you're like, no, it's not. Because it's not meant to be that way. The sun rises and sets on Jesus. That's it. That's the only. That's the only one.
Think about where this is going to put us. If I had a plumbing company and it was Jones and Sons plumbing company, and you came to work for us, and my son, he's a junior, he's just learning, he's an apprentice, he's learning, but you know coming in, very likely Casey is going to be my boss someday, because it's the Jones Plumbing Company, it's the sign says Jones Plumbing Company, and in a little while he will, you know, okay. Now let's take 20 years on, and then when Casey starts leading the plumbing company, you may like him or dislike him or trained him or y'all be buddies and fish together, but you knew all along this is a family business. What do we do, Pastor Dino, with the fact that the priesthood in the New Testament church isn't Levitical? And what do we do now whenever Casey, you've been his youth pastor and you've trained him and brought him along, and then one day because I'm stepping off, suddenly Casey has to go to the top now, and he's going to be above you, but you're the one that's actually been speaking life to him. Nobody knows how to do this next handoff. Nobody knows what this handoff is going to be. Nobody knows, is it going to be done per stirpes, by blood, by name? Yeah. Or is this going to be done in ministry? No, nobody knows. And someone says, well, what's the what's the right way? Well, it's not so simple as to have a right way and a wrong way. There's going to be parts of that to all of it. And those are the things I think we got to get figured out at this in this juncture, so we don't fumble this ball, because this multi-site has been way too wonderful for us to look back and go, it's a good run. Yeah.
Well, y'all have got a great church, and you can tell that spirit has been there. Something you and Scott have said this, and you've said this about the whole idea that life moves at the speed of relationship. Yeah. If I've heard you say it 10 times, I've heard you say it 100, and the same for your brother. So you're speaking relational language, spiritual relational language. It could be natural family, could not be that, but it is of the family of God. What does that statement mean to you in relationship to the church, to team, to building something? Contextualize that as it relates to that?
That's a fabulous question for you to ask me, because Scott is the one who brought in life moves at the speed of relationships. And you think you hear it, but it's not until you hear it a while and you realize I'm doing well, I'm going slow, I'm going fast, and it's all because of the relationships I'm in. If you know somebody that's in line 25 people in front of you, life moves at the speed of relationship.
That's a good way to put it.
So you get to see something, you get to move ahead on something. So the relationships you're in, the books you read, that's my part, the relationships you're in, that's his part, will determine where you are going to be in this next phase of your life, what you do, where you're going to go. So whenever I look at the relationships, you have to make sure you don't compete in the relationship. Yes. If you're going to have this symbiotic relationship in a leadership dynamic, I haven't come to near as much ARC as he has. He has been the face of Grace Church.
Sure. Yeah, within the ARC movement. Yeah.
In a movement in a very, very big way.
Yeah.
And I could come and I know everybody and everybody's kind and we can call and talk, but sometimes I can send mixed signals because he's already got this gift of relationship. He's got the gift of connection. He knows somebody to somebody to something, to one phone call to there. You don't know if it's bull or real, but he knows, and it's going to come together. And he does well with prima donnas. People that have to be carried like this, and you know,
he understands those dynamics.
Oh, there's 9 people in their church, and they got 3 bodyguards. And I want to go. Who's trying to kill you?
I want to elbow him.
Yeah, what are you doing? And that kind of stuff doesn't work. And I'm like, come on, get real. So what happens is the speed of relationship in that dynamic, God puts and says, this is the person that's best for this. This is how we'll do this best. This is like someone said, "Oh, I couldn't be married to Joe." That's why God didn't give you Joe. Somebody going to jail. Well, that's why you not. But God gives a grace to the person that needs to hear that or see that or do that or be that. And Scott Jones has done the relationship grace that I get to now come in behind and look like I've laid a lot of this stuff out when a lot of it is things he's done. Yeah. And yet we come in here and we find this balance. We work it out.
And you're able, and I mean, you talked about it earlier. When everybody keeps their ego in check, submitted, surrendered, then that speed of relationship can get a lot done in the kingdom. Because no one's hogging the relationships or saying every relationship has to be about me. I mean, I am the end all of all relationships.
Right.
And I've seen that in, like, just for the art world, we got a great lead team, but all of us have this bent, this gift, this asset to the kingdom of God. And it just, if you're not submitted and surrendered and secure in your own skin in Christ,
That's right.
then it can get jacked up in a hurry. And everybody gets sideways.
Yeah, because you'll come into a big art conference and it's everybody's exhausted coming into it. All the volunteers are already tired. And everybody got here, and everybody's in. And then what we call peacocks. Peacocks show up at the last second. They haven't done diddly. And they come in there and they act like, oh, well, we've worked so hard to get this done. And the volunteers, they look up and go, first I saw you was this morning. You hadn't been here for the 3 weeks it took to make this thing happen. Yeah. And you can burn big time because you're trying to act like you've been a vital part of that. I found the best thing here is come in, let the people, let them lead it. Let them lead strong. And if I'm recognized, that's great. If I'm not, that's okay. It's just this time. Yeah. There's an idea that in 3 or 4 days we're going to do this again, and somebody else, and the next time, and if we don't do that, we're going to have a very geriatric group of people leading because no one younger can step up and do it because it has to be done by Brother Wonderful.
Yeah, Brother Wonderful. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in this episode of Unscripted. We just want to take a brief moment to say thank you to Vapor Ministries for helping make this episode possible. I love Vapor Ministries and Micah, his team out there. They're helping mobilize the church to bring physical relief. And I love the spiritual transformation to people living in extreme poverty. A lot of our team has been there. My goodness, the ministry that they do on the ground is incredible. They partner with congregations to support these centers around the world. You get to partner with them, Kenya, Togo, Haiti, where the vision is to break the cycle of poverty through quality education, clean water, agricultural development, and micro businesses, employment that creates economic growth in these communities. They work tirelessly to expand and reach of the local church to make disciples. They've got churches on the ground, prayer rooms. It's holistic. And I know that word can be different, but it is wholly meeting the needs of people through spiritual transformation and through going in there and creating a great environment for these precious people to literally reach them for Christ. So Vapor has prepared some special resources for the ARC family that you can access at arcchurches.com/partners. Make sure to check them out. They're amazing. How have you dealt with, and I want to talk a little bit because I know it's in the book and you've written an incredible book that I think is needed in the body of Christ. It has such a unique sound and a unique voice. How have you dealt with your own insecurities in this dynamic? Help somebody, because that insecurity wrecks insecurity, sidelines insecurity, breaks down, it gets in our head. How have you dealt with your own personal insecurity? Because choosing this path, which to me is the kingdom path, does kind of somewhat bring it out a little more quicker.
It does. Oh,
than being Mr. Wonderful all alone.
For sure. If not, then that's a precipice, and then we got to retool everything to start over.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be having to retool. We should have been doing this along the way.
Yeah.
So becomes a planned obsolescence at some point.
Yeah, there is.
So the idea of me knowing going into this that I'm going to play this part, and I can still play it. I can play it just as good as I could before, but I'm going to help somebody else play the part now, and I'm going to help them play it at their very best. So where does that make, what does that make me feel like? Where does that put me?
There we go.
Where am I?
Yeah, talk about what it feels like.
So you have Elijah. He comes in, he can call down fire out of heaven. I'd say he's in his day. He can, 63 words, boom, on fire, the sacrifice is happening, and the priesthood has just been decimated, and the true living God, he is the man. Mm-hmm. And one woman said, oh, and she didn't even come to the service. She was home. It wasn't until Ahab got home and said, Jezebel's what happened.
Something.
She said, oh, well, then you watch. By this time tomorrow, 24 hours from now, the very thing you did to these priests, God, I will see that it happens to you. This very same thing. And this man, in his power and strength, started running.
Yeah.
He ran. He should have run 24 hours and went, wait, hold it. I'm tired of running. And she's obviously not a prophetess. First off, she has a pathetic priesthood that's already been decimated.
Yeah.
And we've gone 24 hours and she's got, no, he ran 3 days into the hills. And then he says, oh God, let me die. He wants to die. He has given, and now he wants to die. He didn't have there was no setup for when his plan was going to be handed over to another plan. It just went from I'm it till death. Just let me die. As opposed to what God did with him, and that was God was, now that I've got you, you can call fire from heaven. That's great. I was part of that too, by the way, but that's okay. Now that you did that fire thing, now I want you to do something that's going to be harder than calling fire down from heaven. I'm going to send you to your replacement, and I want you to go anoint him, and I want you to let him follow you, and I want you to let him find out what it means to be who you are. And that was harder on Elijah than it was being Brother Wonderful. It was harder for him to grasp that. He didn't even know which way to go with that.
That's a deep thought.
This whole thing is planned obsolescence. From the beginning, God says, I'm going to replace you. He's at his strength. Pastor Dino, he's at his strength.
Yeah.
And in that strength, God said, now, when, in fact, he'd been crying and whining and crying, and God finally said, are you done? Okay. Now, look, what I want you to go do, here's 3 more anointings I want you to go do. And I stopped on that. Wait a minute. Whenever I was studying this, that just, okay. He said, God, I want to die. God, I want to die. God, okay. Can you stop crying for a minute? Okay. Now, if you stop crying, I have 3 more anointings. So when you think you're dead and done, there's at least 3 more anointings.
Yeah.
And those 2 anointings, and then he said, and anoint Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who will be your replacement. And he said, now everybody knows you can call down fire from heaven. Now, do they know that you can let somebody serve you? Do they know that you can let somebody walk beside you? Do they know that somebody can lean over your hands and when you get through washing, someone's going to pour the water on your hands and hand you a towel? And do they know that you can share ministry with somebody else, or does it always have to be it's just you? And this is God saying, this is my plan. God said, now I'm the one setting this up.
Yeah.
Elijah didn't say, God, tell me who's going to replace me. God said, no, I'm going to tell you who's going to replace you. And often these replacements don't happen until there's some tragic thing happen, or a death, or someone that just is too old to feel like they've got anything left before we bring someone on. And there they have to make first generation mistakes. They have to do the,
it gets messy.
We got to start it all over again.
Yeah.
We got to start it again because we didn't spend time in an honor position of, here, I'm gonna honor you. I'm gonna follow you. And that's what, through the years, I stood. First, I did this with my dad, where I served, and then I've led in strength. And then my brother and I don't look at him as my Elijah or Elisha necessarily, as he's taken my place, because we do this side by side. But he's younger than I am, and he'll be doing what he's doing when I'm not doing what I'm doing. So we've got a little stair-step thing going on here. Yeah. And yet he definitely carries those things. So everything still makes the same sense, comes across, works the same way. And then it's me looking for people to pour into for that next thing. It's easier to go call fire down from heaven than to put up with an Elijah or an Elisha that doesn't want to do today and doesn't feel this. It's a lot simpler just to say, peace, be still, and do what you want to do. But that's not how we're going to be able to move kingdom forward generationally.
Yeah, it's good. And the book is called The Changeover Principle, which I love that name. Mentoring the Art of Servant Leadership. Mentoring the Art of Servant Leadership. So where'd you get the title?
From living it, literally from living it. So the art of servant leadership.
In a journaling, in a process, where'd you get changeover?
Changeover actually came from Scott. We were talking and about this is what happens when you get into the right relationship, where you're not seeing who had the best. It's not late night TV. Who's ratings? Who rated? It's not that. Yeah. Where he said, okay, you know what? There's a deal I did about the baton, the race to do, and there's a principle you change over.
Y'all were working.
You know what? Okay, he said, so you're doing that. I'm coming up behind you. Change. Okay, and so the better idea came out of us.
That's good.
Instead of me or him. Yeah. And that happens so often. But when someone says later whose idea is it, it was ours. Yeah, it was ours.
When I wrote a book called Servolution, and about serving your community and all these things to do. It's funny is that title came out of Jason Laird's mouth, a young son in the Lord. When we were talking about, and somebody said serve, somebody said revolution. I'll never forget. He's in the back of the room, about 20-something years old. He said, "Oh, that's a servolution." And I was like, what?
Stop.
And it was like, God, that's it.
That's it.
And, it's funny you said that. And so the goal of writing this and being able to have this as a resource, and I'm excited about this, and we'll have ways in this unscripted that people can dial into this. And matter of fact, we're sending this out, just sent it out at the end of this past year with people being able to have it. And we put it in a box to a lot of our church planners, a lot of our key leaders. So it's out there. And then, more and more they're going to be hearing from you on this in our circle, because I believe that this is a season where people are walking through this. Right. How do you make a transition? How do you make a changeover? And it could be, man, I'm a youth pastor and I'm turning it over to someone. Right. It's not just the senior leader. I'm a business owner and I'm franchising. There are principles here that apply to all stages of life. Talk to me about how that applies.
By doing this, because it's a principle.
Yeah.
By doing this principle, you will avoid many of the wrecks that happen. Yeah. Because people that are just swooping in to get something aren't going to do the labor that it takes to walk, to go through with this.
Yeah, like do the work to build the team.
Because it's, imagine how often that mantle that Elijah had put on Elisha's shoulders, and Elisha is washing that, getting it clean, he's cleaning an anointing that's not yet his to wear.
That's so strong.
And he's preparing it, and you wonder what he's doing. He's cleaning it. He knows it probably better than the man that's wearing it now, because he puts it over his shoulders. He knows now. All he first knew was, you just threw that on my shoulders when you came by. But now from this side, he's having to wash it, clean it, take care of it, maintain it, and you don't do that if you're looking for something quick. You don't do that. So if we'll start this, as you say, in the youth department with that one that's coming up behind you, somebody that really wants to learn it and know it and do it, then, they're in. Yeah. They want to do it. They want to be a part of that. They in fact, later, whenever Elijah, he knows it's about time to go, Elijah goes, hey, you know what? Go ahead and stay here today. I'm going to go to Bethel. And, and he went, no, sir. No, I hadn't followed you all these years to miss out on this. No, sir, I'll be with you.
It's almost like it's a spirit.
Yeah.
It's like a spirit at any age of being able to share.
Yes.
Highlight others. Know your role.
And then
play well together.
You may always be known as that role.
Wow.
Years later, Elijah's off the scene. He's gone. And the king of Israel is saying, hey, is there a prophet anywhere around? We need a prophet to come in and kind of do some prophet stuff. And they said, well, we got this guy. His name is Elisha. He said, who? Elisha. He said, who? Elisha. The one who poured the water on the hands of Elijah. Oh, him.
Wow.
And the fact is, if you're not okay being known as the servant of someone that came before you, you very likely won't get a chance to be known as a servant of someone who came before you.
Man, that is rich. It's funny you're saying that. Like, it always boils down to servant leadership.
It is.
It don't matter what we come up with.
It doesn't matter.
We can spin this thing 100 ways.
It doesn't matter.
We can post it. We could put graphics on it. We can put it on merch. We can build organizations. We can do movements and gatherings.
How many times we said, what do you do if there's 13 men in the room? Where will you find the strongest leader? Serving. He's down washing the feet of the other people. We know that. We've heard that. But it can't just be a little catch deal.
Yeah.
You actually have to be.
It's a bullet point in our growth track. No, man.
No, you're going to have to be on Servolution Day out there to somebody who doesn't know your brother or sister wonderful, and you're going to be handing them, and it's
you be washing that car,
and you're working and you're doing, and they go, hey, you missed something. You go, oh, okay, and you get up there and you clean, and you want to go, what? No, I'm sure that guy
may be preaching Sunday.
That guy's not having to do that, or somebody's not. No, but he made of himself no reputation.
Come on.
That means there is a reputation. Didn't say there wasn't a reputation. He just said he didn't make it.
Yeah.
Who makes it? It's the people going, look, I don't know. I don't know if he's God or not. All I know is this morning I was blind. And now I can see. So y'all, you religious people work that out. All I can tell you is that I was blind and now I'm not blind. So y'all figure it out. I'm going to go home.
It's almost like y'all figure out the ranking system. I'll continue to be about my Father's business.
Exactly.
And I think that is the dying and the journey of every leader of what really matters. And you've helped with that. I remember when we started our church at Healing Place, we were church planners.
Yeah.
And we were we were in a building, and there was a Parsons and a daycare. And after Sunday church, the toilets were stopped up from Sunday. I go to the daycare unit. She calls me daycare. I go over there. The plumber walks in and says, "You the worst janitor I ever seen. You don't know how to unplug these. My hands all down in a toilet. I got mess all over me."
Yeah.
And he cusses me out being the worst janitor he ever saw. And finally he looks around and says, "Are you the janitor?" And I said, "Yeah. I'm the pastor. I'm the planter. I'm running this whole property." At that point, I'm the janitor.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's all those things,
and
it never changes. I'm still the janitor.
Mark Johnston in
Delaware.
Delaware.
Oh, he's fabulous.
Okay. So when one of our first times we get to really know one another, it's a Saturday night. I'm driving somewhere and he calls. And we get on the phone, and he is bummed.
Oh,
he's bummed. The church is not, it's just, and he was going to be Brother Wonderful and Boy Wonderful, and then he had to leave a birthday party. He's at the church waiting on an air conditioning man to come in, and he's waiting, and he's missing this, and he's not that, and it's not near as neat it looked when we were on a platform, win the lost, and all that. And he and I have laughed many times since then. That was when God said, boy, I think you got it.
Yeah.
I think you got it. Yeah. And Pastor Mark might not know that end from air conditioning to that end from air conditioning, but when we were talking that night, I was saying, you want to always sit there and wait. You want to always wait on the air conditioning man. Yeah. It won't always be, but you will wait on the air conditioning man. And then later on, if somebody gets in a hurry, you might have to do it again, because this is his kingdom, not ours. We're here to serve him. Jesus makes of himself so much of the no reputation that whenever he is going to be sold out, Judas said, "Now look, I know he hadn't made a big deal of himself, so I'll give him a kiss. And the one I kissed, that's the one you want." Wait, I thought he was public enemy number one. Yeah, but public enemy number one when you're a servant doesn't always mean that you're in front of doing and you're loud
lights and
doing all that. No.
Yeah, your image has been etched and airbrushed. And all that kind of good stuff.
Exactly.
I love the name of the book, Changeover Principle, and the mentoring and the art of servant leadership. I so appreciate you. I appreciate what you're all about. And I really appreciate you spending some time with me on Unscripted.
One of the parts I hope for that, and it actually kind of got a life I wasn't expecting. Whenever I read it for Audible, the people that they bought it, they're reading it, but the ones that got it on Audible, I've set it up so each chapter can be on its own.
That's so important. It's a standalone.
And a pastor's wife the other day, she told me, we were talking, she said, I told my husband, okay, get in the car, on your way to church, listen to chapter 5. Dear God, man, listen to 5.
That's your dose for the day.
Yeah, just whatever you need to do.
That's neat that you've done it that way.
And when I go back and listen to what's happening at that moment, each of those were, each chapter, it's either telling our story and then when it gets into the changeover principle, it's what was happening for that prophet, Elijah or Elisha, at that time, what was taking place, what was the setup, what was going on, and now apply that to yourself.
Yeah. That's a good way to have it, because then you can. It's for teams. It's going to be standalone moments. You've got an audio. How do they find out about it? I know how how do they find out about you and find out about the book and be able to be connected?
It's all on everything's Amazon. I mean, they can get it through that. Then they get it through our church website, grace.one, O-N-E, the spell out the word one, grace.one. So they get it there, and then there's links in that. From the Amazon part, they can get they can get the Kindle, they can get the Audible, they can get hardback, soft cover, any of that. And we got some companion stuff coming along behind it, even more.
That's so important.
Of how we're going to be able to just this should be something scalable, so that someone could take all their teachers in a department and say, let's all make sure we're saying the same things. Yeah. And then I really hope some pastors that are a little older,
that's your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they can email you at the church.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is your email is?
B Jones, BJONES at grace.one. Grace.
And we'll have that up. Because I think that's awesome. Because I don't know how many times I've called you and say, hey, can you talk to this person? Or people call me and I say, you need to talk to Brett Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
Call him, get a hold of him.
Just because we need real.
To you.
You know, we need real on that kind of stuff. One last thing that I did that this morning early, I felt like the Lord just kind of put it there. When I was in my mid-20s, I was a very frustrated young preacher, had a lot of questions, didn't have a lot of places to go get answers that were like safe, where you could go in and go, am I crazy? This is what I think, and if you're, denominational type world, that can be dangerous type thing.
Yep.
And just where am I going to go? And the older minister, he said, well, you need to write yourself a letter. And I said, okay. I love it when people of wisdom, and in your head you're going, I guess that makes sense. I'm not getting anything out of it. He said, just write it to yourself. And anyhow, I sat down and wrote, dear Brett, you're an idiot. Whatever. And I just kind of sussed out what I was feeling.
Yeah.
I kind of felt a little better. So later on, not much later, I wrote another one from Brett to Brett, but then I put this one to be opened at a particular time.
Wow.
So to be opened on my 30th birthday. Yeah. And that became cathartic. So through the years, I've written, there's probably 28 or 30 letters.
God, that's amazing.
That I have written in my handwriting. It's to me. No, I'm not even letting anybody read them. I mean, because I'm like, I should pay them in. And some of them, oh my goodness, you open it whenever you're 50, and you wrote it when you were 30, and you go, oh God, that I feared has come upon me, or am I this kind of man? And because I started doing by the time you're this,
right.
you should have reached this and done this, and if you haven't started on that other here, you need to. And then some of it I wrote, and I think the first one was 55 that I read this. At 55, if you haven't already started moving your feet to the side, very slowly, but movement, then are you just going to stand on this stage forever and just take it all?
Wow.
And now at the age, I realize, okay, I have started this process. I am doing this. And that becomes just a deal from within to say, how am I doing? My brother used to, he would do a deal to the staff. He'd say, what business are we in? And then he would say, now how's business?
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
And that's what that came from me. So there could be guys and girls that are listening to us now that need to talk to their future self.
That's so good.
And say, some of it practical. Not like, I hope you've raised 3 people from the dead. Right. How about, I hope you've saved this much money at this point.
Yeah.
I hope by now do you feel comfortable in this? Can you find joy in watching those that you've trained do this, or does it have to come out of your smokestack to be smoke, or is it okay and find that balance? And imagine we're supposed to get to the end of this thing and not only have the Lord say, well done, but we're supposed to be rich, filled in our heart, our spirit, our soul, that we've done something in the kingdom, and that we're supposed to have fruit that remains.
Yeah, that's so good.
I think too many of my years I spent fruit, but I end up eating it myself. It's got to be fruit that remains.
I love that is an amazing practice with the principle. So I appreciate it. Unscripted Season 4. Hey, we're so honored that you joined us on this episode here at Unscripted. If you're interested in learning more about planting a church or partnering with ARC, we'd love to get you connected. So visit our website at arcchurches.com for more information. Love to have you a part of this journey. So thanks again for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Unscripted.